Excellent. So Q, for those of us who don't know, can you tell us who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, and just as a brief intro, and then we'll get into some more of the real stuff. So tell us a bit about your background and who you are, etc.
Okay. Hello, my name is Qura Mark Rankin. I'm from London originally. My parents are from Jamaica. Came to London in the 60s. I was born in London, raised, and left London when I was 19 years old and moved to America. And the first place I moved to was Nashville, and went to Nashville, then New York. Then after New York, I came back to London, spent some time in Germany, then went back to Atlanta, and then ended up in Los Angeles and was there for about, I guess, 15 years. And then in 2017, left Los Angeles and traveled about, went to Africa, went back to London for a bit, and then ended up here in Phuket, Asia.
And wow, of all those places, you've traveled from the east to the west, from LA to the Far East, is pretty much the width of the world.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite place?
Where I am right now.
Really? Okay, brilliant. We'll get into that. So the music business, how did you get involved in the music business, or how did you become a musician, etc.?
Well, coming from the church, being raised in Pentecostal church, playing music from the age of, I guess, 1. My parents always tell me about a story of me having a drum kit at 1, and I think I destroyed it in the same day. So I was always into music. I had music, drumming, then it was playing the keyboards, then it was playing the guitar. So basically from the age of, from small, basically working on music. And then at 14 years old, I decided that I was going to become a musician. And I told my mum, and just basically took it on from there. I was working in schools, doing after-school programs, working on Saturdays in schools as well, working in the National Jazz Youth Orchestra, and playing instruments there. And then moving on from that, into pop, R&B. Brian Powell was my first urban act I worked with. That was back in the 90s. And he was the one that really put me on, actually. And Nicky Brown, Nicky Brown, I recorded my first project with him when I was 19. And then from there, just went for it, went to America and took it from there. Yeah.
Okay, why did you go to America?
Okay, so there was a bishop called, Bishop Farrell, and his son, his name is Count Basie, and he's the same age as me. And he came to our church. I was 18 at the time, and we were both musicians. And he was like, man, he called me up one day, and he was like, dude, I've just got signed to Columbia Records. Would you like to come out to America and be my musical director? So I was like, yeah. So that's how I got to America, basically. So I jumped on a plane, and we lived in Nashville together. We worked in music, and that's where it started from. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just kind of giving the salient points of your life journey. So somewhere along the line, you got a recording deal. How did that go, and how did that come about?
As far as my publishing deal, so I got signed to Universal Records in Sweden. So I was touring with a guy called Ernest Rankin, and I played at the Cannes Festival in France. And then the guy that was going to sign me came to the event, and I got signed after that. So I was signed to Universal for a few years, and then from there moved to America and then signed to a company called Notting Hill Publishing. So
tell me a bit more about Notting Hill.
Well, Notting Hill is a boutique company. It's English, and they have a branch in LA, and I think their first signing was Will Smith, and they sort of built themselves from there. So they're quite a nice little English boutique company in LA. In LA, and so basically with them, I started working with different artists. They put me with different producers and songwriters, and I worked also with Mike Post, who scores Law and Order, and he was my mentor for about 3 years. And then from there, you know, took it from there to working with a guy called Big Tank, and from then Big Tank doing what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Right. So you've had quite a lot of good success in the music industry.
Yes.
I know you were able to buy a house with your first major publishing deal, and you've played for or produced some of the household names that we know, including Christina Aguilera and so on and so forth, right? So you've accomplished much by taking a big step of faith to leave the safety of London at 19 and go and live remotely with people you hardly know. But there was some benefits to that. So with all that said and done, you've had hits, as I've said. How and why would you leave that expression? I remember seeing you on tour with Kylie Minogue, and so on. You've done quite a lot of stuff, a bit like Luke Smith is in the room with us today.
Yeah.
But what made you decide to shift from pop music and reggae music and R&B and hip hop and all those other genres that country, to music therapy? Tell us how this music therapy journey started.
Church. You know, I'm a worshiper. You know, I'm a musician. You know, and understanding the frequency of praise and worship, understanding adoration, you know, and how, you know, the space of what music is. You know, music is consumed in many ways, but the way that I choose to work with music now is for it to be more in the healing arts, you know. So basically it started from young, from church, you know, playing in church, playing for the choirs, playing for the praise and worship, understanding the power of music, seeing people, you know, seeing the power of God in church. You know, it really fascinated me, you know, and I wanted to get back to that space, to helping people, you know, and helping people, I'm helping myself. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's that type of thing.
Right, but let's dig down a bit, because whilst your talent was nurtured in church, I would say back then, where we're talking in the 90s, the production quality was not necessarily that good, and the sonic quality was not necessarily that good, and the expression wasn't necessarily universal. Not all sorts of people liked this sort of hand clapping, rock and rolling sound. Your sound was quite different. How did you create that, and why?
I guess I would say it was 93. I was in New York. I was playing for this church in Yonkers, and I had this keyboard, and it just had a different sound. It wasn't a Hammond organ. It wasn't a piano. It was called, I think it was called the Bay of the Ocean. You know, it was a big sound. And when I played the sound at like prayer time, or, you know, people would just, you know, it was just an amazing sound. It just worked for the church. You know, it really intrigued me with the sound of what that was doing, you know, and that's where it started from, you know. And then I digged into frequency, and then one day, you know, God said to me, you know, you need to change your frequency. And I was like, well, what frequency is there? You know, and, you know, then the frequency of obviously 432 comes in, 449 comes into play as well.
Slow down a little bit. Explain to us what that means. What is 432 and so on and so on? Change your frequency. What does that mean to you, bro? Or mean to us?
Well, 432 is the frequency of where science says, you know, that the universe, you know, the birds, you know, we all speak at the energy of 432. That's the energy of the earth. You know, Bob Marley, the Beatles, you know, you have many artists that recorded their music in 432 instead of 440, because before 40 wasn't the natural energy of music. You know, it was changed. There's a theory that it was changed, you know, in the Second World War, because they were using music they were weaponizing music for interrogation, you know, and they were changing the frequencies to interrogate prisoners of war. And some of those frequencies never went back to 432. So, you know, discovering that, I've been working in that space of 432.
So pop music typically is in 440?
Most music today is in 440 hertz.
Right.
Maybe 98% of it.
And so recording a different frequency, what has that done for your music? How does it change the energy and the interactions between the listener and what you're communicating?
Well, it just balances everything. I don't know. It's a very slight difference between 440 and 432. It almost sounds a little bit flat, but it just kind of falls into something else of an energy space, you know, that one can't describe, you know, but you know that it feels right in that space.
Okay. So I suppose, let me ask this question. Would you say music is spiritual?
Yes.
And so would you say 432 is more of a spiritual kind of tone frequency?
Yeah, I mean, they say it's the frequency of, you know, the universe, the frequency of, you know, the birds, the whales, you know, when they sing, they think it's at 432, you know. So when you can dial the music back into the space of the universe, then you're actually, you're in harmony with the universe, basically.
Okay. So tell us a bit more about the music therapy and the benefits of music therapy. What does it do for the listener? Or what have you intended it to do?
I guess help, really. You know, music is, as I said, it's been consumed in different ways, you know, and for me, I am at the place where I would like my music to help people. So if you can't sleep at night, you know, if you need to focus with your work, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's not, the music isn't supposed to distract you. It's supposed to do the opposite and, you know, make you whole or make you focused on what you need to do. You know, so that's the intention behind the music that I'm doing right now.
Okay. So if someone on this platform is saying, you know what, I'm a bit anxious, I tried to do everything that you guys have told us to do. We tried to go in, we tried to meditate, we tried to do, you know, focus on the good, we tried to focus on love expressions and those sort of things. And let's say someone is struggling because their mind is, you know, overtly busy. Would your music therapy products help?
That's the intention.
Okay, so describe what takes place.
Well, basically, you know, within the brain, you know, you have the delta frequencies, you have the alpha, theta, you know, and beta frequencies in the brain. And when you go to sleep, you know, there's, you know, the frequencies on the left and right side of the brain are basically dysfunctioned, you know, and with the music, if you dial the music in the right frequency, it will help to basically balance out the frequencies between your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere of your brain. You know, so the music is intended to do that. You know, it's just not basic. It's not just music that I've just created. You know, it has frequencies in it, and it has tones in it and undertones that will help the brain to recalibrate, hopefully, and with the right intentions and affirmations that you have, and, you know, belief. Because obviously the music, you know, you can have anything, but you have to also believe what you're doing. You know, if you want to be healed and if you want to be well, you know, you have to believe also. You know, so the music is intended in that space and given in that space.
Right. So tell us a bit more about this music therapy, because for me it's fascinating. And I suppose it's hard for me to ask the question because I know some of the answers, but I just want to expand on this a bit more. Was there a tipping point in your life that caused you to really lean towards all of this music therapy, knowing that you could have made so much more money if you went totally pop or R&B or hip hop? Bearing in mind you were around all of the Teddy Rileys and all of the main producers at the time. What did something happen that caused you to lean towards music therapy?
My mother, you know, and my name. You know, my name is Qura, and my name from the dream that my mother has, for it means for he shall be a blessing unto many. You know, so I was always at the point where if I was doing anything where it wasn't a blessing onto people, I wasn't fulfilling my call. Do you know what I mean? So it was always, that was always going to be the point of, you know, I have to work in the healing arts, because that's what my name means. Blessing, for he shall be a blessing unto many. You know, so yeah, that's basically the goal.
Right. Okay, I like it. I remember utilizing some of the music therapy products in a setting, in a school, where there were some children who were considered to be hard to reach or disadvantaged. And to be fair, they were from moderately wealthy backgrounds. They weren't children who were impoverished. And after lunch, they were just a bit hyper, a bit noisy. And then I remember the music therapy going on, and it just created this balance in the room, as you put the word balance in. It just created this ambience in the room that caused the children to settle. My niece is in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi, and she uses the music therapy products in this classroom. And she sent me a video once of these children just at peace working. And I think that's fascinating. So does music therapy work on all people, all ages, from all backgrounds, or are there conditions?
No, music therapy, it's music. It's the only frequency that can affect the body. It's the only one that gets in, you know. So music therapy is for everybody, for your unborn child to your older, to the elderly, you know. So it's for everything, for everybody, you know. And
back to the so I'll keep your point, but just back to the unborn child. How would that work?
Well, basically back in 1881, you had the Giuseppe's A, you know, and the Giuseppe's A, you know, he was a classical composer, and but that's, you know, the frequency of the notes that were played back then was not developed into a thing called the Mozart effect. So the Mozart effect, a lot of Mozart's music works with frequencies that help to stimulate brain synapses, right? So a lot of studies have been done with pregnant women. They have used that music with unborn children to, you know, they play it and it helps that baby to develop a lot faster than if they didn't listen to it.
And that's called the Mozart effect.
The Mozart effect, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Last week we heard from Luke, and he was saying that whilst he was literally on the hospital bed, someone sent him some music or some affirmations that was just repeated. And when life became really difficult and was hanging on by a thread, it was these affirmations, these sounds, and these things that actually, these mantras almost, that may help to hold on and get through. So music therapy, can it be just a confidence booster? Can it be a mind relaxer? How does it work when we're listening to the same music? Does it automatically adjust to what the body and the mind needs? Or is it partly, do we have to then pay attention and put our attention on the things that do we have to get involved as well?
Yeah, it's called intention and intention. So you have to pay attention to attention. You know, you have to, you know, when you're focusing on music, you know, when you're talking about healing yourself, you know, and talking about therapy, you know, you're consuming music in a different way. So it's not a force like I've got to focus, but it's a relaxation. But, you know, it's for you to then take on your affirmations. You know, if you're saying you want to be well, or you want to focus, or you know, whatever you want to say, you know, that's the moment you use the music to help you do that. You know, the music isn't going to do it for you. You also have to do the work with it.
But it just gives you a wave to ride on.
Yeah, it's like a starter kit. You know, it gets you there. You know, and it'll help you change your mood. You know, obviously, you know, King David, he's the one. You know, King David was a harpist. You know, and he played music, and you know, he knew how to change the atmosphere. You know, he was the one. So knowing that music has those frequencies and it does change the atmosphere, then, you know, it's very important that you consume new music in the right way.
Right. Prince, the artist who passed away a few years ago, he said with his guitar, he can play music that can open you up. And once he opens you up, you can become whatever you need to be. But he believes that music was that gateway that could open up certain portals in our minds, in our body, in our human existence. What about, I know we've talked about this previously, what about the elderly or someone suffering with Alzheimer's and memory issues? Can music therapy help them?
Yeah, there's science that's proved that with Alzheimer's, that if you play music to somebody that's elderly, they will remember. It's like a timestamp. So there is something in music that brings the memory back to a certain time. Like, you know, like you have a favorite song you hear, you remember it straight away where you were, how you were feeling. So music has the power to bring you back to a space. You know, it kind of almost can reset your space, reset your mood. You know, so it definitely is a powerful thing to use for people that have Alzheimer's and dementia.
All right. So Q, in this season of lockdown and COVID, and whilst we're setting forth our affirmations and our intentions for life going forward post-COVID, is there a particular approach? Do we just turn on the music and have it blurting out and cleanse the atmosphere? Or is it
get your sage out?
A more quieter tone? How do we dispense this thing?
You know, when people ask me about my music, I say my music is to put you to sleep. It's not to make you dance. You know, in this sense, it's to make you relax. You know, so it's supposed to do the opposite. And how my music is consumed is really low. Just play it low. You know, you don't even have to hear it. You know, because it's almost like, you know, like living out here in Thailand, you have these mosquito, you know, things that, you know, you put on, you know, and the mosquitoes attract, you know, they come in. It's the same thing with music. You just turn it on and leave it low and let it play, and it will balance your room out.
It's almost like an air conditioning.
Yeah.
It's environmental conditioning. You just turn
Humidifier.
it on, at ambient temperature, and it just makes the room comfortable.
Yeah.
And so there are people on this chat today who are Christians, there are people who are non-Christians, there are Buddhists, there's all sorts of people on there, but in their practice, if someone said, right, I want to pray and meditate, you can put this music on and it can just help the whole environment, and it would perhaps align your thoughts and your spirituality then to achieving your intended outcome. But yet, if it's a child, a toddler, it can help them with relaxation and chill down time, right?
Right.
What about the CEO who's going into this important meeting and he doesn't want to sleep? Is there some music that you have that can really boost his confidence or to have some more courage? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as I said, it's really frequency, you know, and playing and having the intention when you make the records. So if I'm going to produce a record for a situation where that person needs to be uplifted, then yeah, definitely.
So in this season of COVID where we need this healing, we need tomorrow we're going to have a grief session, and people are suffering, many people are suffering. Our chancellor has said we're heading for the deepest recession known. It looks a bit grim. We've heard about 5G, we've heard about vaccines, we've heard about all these disaster things. Do you reckon that we could listen to your music in a quiet space and be more equipped for the tomorrow? I think I've almost heard your answer already, but it's worth me asking the question directly to the condition that we're all facing.
Yeah, I think that, you know, life has its way, you know, and I've had a very you know, difficult, you know, painful, powerful, wonderful life. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you go through different times in your life and you can create music that is, you know, you have different emotions, right? So I'm creating music with, okay, I know who that CEO guy that's frustrated that can't sleep because I'm a CEO, you know? So I'm making music for myself as much as I'm making it for everybody else, you know? So, you know, having the highs and lows in your life, you know, you can, you know, for me personally, it's taking that energy and putting it into the records and putting it into the music.
Excellent. Now, Q, just to say, we started some music therapy, was it 2002, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Can you remember some of the reasons behind that and what the intentions were, why we're creating this music therapy, how we met and decided to do this wonderful thing?
So, yeah, like I will start. So, I mean, we started from Rayma. I mean, I met Mike in, I would say 98. Was it 98, Mike? Right? Yeah, 98, long time ago. And, you know, we just had a common goal. You know, I think the idea of taking music and taking the idea of, you know, an expression to another level where it was outside of a box, you know, you know, that was a thing that we always discussed, you know, and, you know, I think, yeah, it was 2002 we started working on that project, right? And then we had, what was the CD cover? Because I can't remember the CD cover. It had the swirl,
the spiral,
you know,
the spiral of life.
Spiral, yeah, and it was just, I think, you and I were discovering, because we talked about this in Atlanta, right? In 2000 and, when was that, 2005? 2006 when we, 2004.
Yeah.
2004 when we were talking about, you know, how we wanted to make an impact, you know, with our ministry, you know, and, you know, you talking about, you know, doing the things that you're doing now and me talking about doing the things I'm doing now, you know, so it's just been like, yeah, you know, that first moment was us exploring the music, seeing how we can help, you know, relaxation, you know, and helping people to, and even helping ourselves to relax when we listen to it. You know?
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Q, if you don't mind, I'm going to open this up because there's lots of lovely posts. I see Nadia.
Okay.
So proud of my brother Q. This is fantastic. You're amazing. Good to see you online, Nadia. Yeah. Is there anyone that would like to ask Qura a question, especially that nuanced position about translating from being that amazing, world-renowned producer of music that gets people on the dance floor to doing this music now that gets people to be better as humans? Any other questions you may want to ask, please just alert and I will come to you in order. So I'll get you unmuted. Just give me the hands up and we'll take the questions. Hey, Luke, how are you? Are you still online, Luke? Yep, Luke Smith, did you want to, I've mentioned you, so did you want to go first?
Me, okay. First of all, Qura, good to see you, man.
Yes, bro.
One of my close friends. Now we talk all the time, and it's funny because me and Qura and Mike, we talk about 432 frequency all the time. Just want to encourage you, man, and say you're doing a fantastic job, and
Thank you, bro.
I'm so proud of you. Yeah, I mean,
proud of you too, man.
You do what you're doing, man. It's running. You know what I mean? And hopefully I'll get out there soon, spend some time with you.
You know what it is, bro. It's so good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Where are you, in the park?
I'm in the park, man. I'm in the park.
Oh, good, man.
Did a bit of training. And I thought, let me listen to you guys from the park, man. Get a bit of greenery in here.
Cool, man. Yeah. Blessings, bro. Good seeing you, man.
Yes, man. Likewise, man. Likewise.
Okay. Blessings.
Okay. There is there's a few other questions. I'm not sure how relevant it is, but someone said my partner wants to know if you're married yet or not. I don't know. I don't know what that's got to do with music, but
Next caller.
Okay. The question there is around a lot of circulating to do and need something rhythmical, but not too distracting.
What's that? Say it again.
They've got a lot of work to do and they want something that's got good rhythm, but not too distracting. Can you suggest some sort of music that they should be listening to?
Yeah, I mean, anything, you know, that's sort of lower than, you know, like 70 BPM, you know, it's quite slow. You know, you kind of like, the music I'm making right now, the BPM runs around 60 to 70, you know, sort of right where the heart rate is, you know, in that space. So, you know, you kind of like want to have music that you're listening to that is, it can kind of like get you into, you know, that lull energy, you know, and relax you.
Yeah, because a lot of dance floor music is around 120, right?
Yeah.
It's double time, and it heightens your energy. And really, we want to be slowing down in this season. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So, the question was asked, where do we get the music? Q, we have a lot of the music that we done together on our website. We're going to make it available again to people.
Okay.
And just really start pushing out with the that whole anthropology kind of music, which becomes an anthology, right? Just really pushing that music therapy thing so that people can consume the right music to be that plane that takes their thoughts to where it needs to go. The question here is, how can music help toddlers or 0 to 5-year-olds?
Well, I mean, if you listen to, as I said, like Mozart, you know, there's a few Mozart records like Moonlight Sonata, you know, there's a lot of records from him that you can take, you know, you put it on, you play it low, you don't have to blaze it, you know, you just put the music on low, you know, and, you know, just let it play. Is that answer the question?
Yes, it sort of answers it. I'm just throwing out some of the questions as well. Sophia Michelle says, one of the biggest issues I encounter working with chronically ill clients is issues relating to sleep. Is there a specific product you recommend? I suppose that's your Ernest stuff, right?
That's mine.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about that, Q?
Yeah. So, okay. So I have been working on some music. It's actually it's out now. I've used my father's name, Ernest. I wanted to honor my father, you know, musically, you know, because I've, you know, left London for so long and haven't really spent time with my family. And when I had the opportunity to record some music, you know, me and the label that I'm working with, they were like, we had to pick a name, you know, and, you know, the name Ernest, you know, that's the name that we picked, and that's my father's name. So I have music right now that's on Spotify. You can check out. The first one I released came out last month. It's called Breathe. There's two versions of it. One version is like 3 minutes, which is like a short version. But the second version is a 7-minute version. And that version is meant for meditation, prayer. If you need to wake up in the morning and get your mind right, you know, like you play that record because there's gongs in the record. So every minute there's a gong, so you can kind of time yourself. So the music is, you know, a little bit more than just like, you know, chorus, hook, verse. It's not really, that's not really what this is. This is more about, you know, time and, you know, basically the healing of the arts, you know. So yeah, so Spotify is where my music is out now, but it's out on all platforms, I believe. It's on all platforms, not just Spotify. I have another release coming out tomorrow, actually. That's going to be called Still Waters. So my second release is coming out, and so please support. Yeah.
Brilliant. I've got 3 questions, Q, that's coming up from the room. The first one is from Christine Toure. Christine, did you want to say your question, please?
Hi. Got there in the
Hey.
end. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Yes, I particularly work with young people, as Q knows and Michael knows. And I want to know, how can we make that transition? Because we know that they're hooked on various other frequencies.
Yeah.
And I'm working with a lot of young females, particularly, and I'm talking 16 to 19, that are having a lot of mental health issues. And I'm trying to work with my institute in trying to create a space when we get back from this whole COVID, that they have a space where it's like a hub where they can, do you know what I mean? Get some kind of mindfulness treatment, because coming out of this, we're not going to be the same. Our young people are not going to be the same.
No.
So I think I just want kind of inspirational ways forward that I could bring back to my institute and say, okay, look, how can we create this space for young people using the music? I'm very much all about also color therapy. So I want to kind of bring the whole thing together and to support our young people through this transition, especially being locked up for so long.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about. I think it's about education. I think it's just about educating on what it is, because it's not just about, okay, you get the music. I mean, you can do that, but there is a way to, consume the music to where it should help you. Do you know what I'm saying? So, dealing with the youth, there's going to have to be some sort of education that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know that there's a the type of music that they like, and how do we get them to move from that to see the benefits of what it is that you're proposing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's all. I mean, there's studies of stuff like that that's out there, but with what we're doing right now, it's all going to be all about doing it, and it's going to be transitioning, and it's all going to be about basically it's just going to be like, we have to move forward with what we sorry. Hello?
Very fine. Yeah, you've answered it. No, you've answered it. Thank you.
Sorry?
Thank you. No, I think you've answered my question.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I got distracted, sorry. Yeah. Hello? Yeah.
No problem. Well, thank you, Christine. Great question. And maybe we could sit together and figure out how we can bring this stuff to market, that young people pay attention to it. Wow, we've got 10 minutes and 3 questions. I think I'll go to Loreko, then to Millie, then to Lurleen. So Loreko, please go ahead, all the way from lovely South Africa.
Brother Qura.
Larry!
How are you, sir? You are?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. How are you?
Great spirits. It's such an absolute pleasure hearing from you, always sharing, as always, and seeing you, man. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, Qura, that the creation process is a very involved, process. It requires a lot of you personally. Those are the ingredients. A lot of you goes into the outcome and what it is that you produce. It's what you put in. And it's often said that space is one of the most underrated concepts just in life in general. When we give things space, that's when there's growth, an opportunity for growth. As the creator of the music and this beautiful art form that heals so many people, how do you afford yourself that space? Right? So, how do you kind of tap out and allow for that growth to take place in order to kind of come back and re-imprint your frequency?
Good question, man. I think it's because music is mental, and it really is. It's a prayer, so it's staying in a prayerful space, hence the reason why I'm not on my phone a lot. Sometimes I'm not really great with communication because I'm not on the phone, because I'm trying to stay connected into the atmosphere of what it is that I want to communicate musically, so it really is a balance between, okay, being on the phone, doing, everyday stuff. And then it's like, okay, how, stepping away from it and hearing what's going on, and what I need to communicate musically, so I use a lot of sounds, I use a lot of atmospheric sounds like birds, ocean, sea, you know what I mean? And you can't hear that if you're busy. You can't, you have to take time to listen to nature. you know. So yeah, it's a conscious thing for me to kind of like step off and, you know, listen to nature and then create the music that I like to create.
Sure. Good sharing.
Yeah, man. Good seeing you, bro.
Always.
We'll put your links in our chat sections and so on. But is there something you want to tell us to encourage us, to motivate us to think well, live well, and be well?
Well, the only thing that comes to mind is stars shine brighter at night. You know, and even if this is a dark time, you know, with COVID and, you know, people are in the, you know, their houses and locked up, you know, this is when you shine. You know, this is when, you know, you're the light of the earth. You know what I mean? You're the salt and the light. You know, so, you know, when the night is dark, that's when you start to shine. So that's really what I would like to leave you guys with.
Thank you, Qura. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We shine in dark times. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Can we give Qura a quick thumbs up, hand clap? Really do appreciate you taking time out all the way from sunny Phuket.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
All right. And keep doing what you do. We want to hear more of your music. Well done. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
All right. Thank you.
Join us tomorrow. It'll be a great time tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful and peaceful and safe day.